Welcome back to Shoney Small Engines. Customer brought in this Honda EX1000 generator. Main complaint is it won't start. Yeah, he said it let it sit for a little while. Pull, won't start. I checked the fuel. The fuel looks very fresh. About a quarter tank in there. But I'll show you real quick when I try to pull this what happens. Put the choke on. Make sure it's on. So a lot of pulling, and it just won't fire. So things in really good shape. A little bit older model, but don't see, no beat up at all. Not beat up at all. So I think I'm just going to put some fuel into the intake, see if we can get this thing to fire. If it does, we'll go ahead and look at the carburetor. And my guess is probably just got some bad gas in there. So let's go ahead and take a look at the carburetor, the intake. We'll spray some fuel in there, make sure we have some spark and compression. And if it does start, then we'll pull the carb up. So when I pulled this air box off, the air box is basically falling apart. It's a mess. So that's been sitting around a long time. Definitely shot. We'll have to get an air filter for this if we get this thing running. So to get to the intake here, we got to take this cover off. We got a couple of screws here. You can already see there's some bad gas laying around in here. Anyway, let's go spray some fresh fuel in there. We'll throw the choke on, see if we can get this thing to start. Cool. All right, that started. That tells me I got spark. That tells me I got compression. That tells me that the carburetor is most likely gummed up in there. Based on some of the fuel that's falling out of here and the way the air filter looked, my guess is it's just got some gummed up gas and some dirt in there. So let's go ahead, pull this bracket off, pull the carb off, then see what we can do to fix this. All right, we've got 2/8 millimeter nuts. This bracket should pop off. I'm going to clamp off this fuel line, just make sure no fuel comes out of there. And then we'll get this hose clamp back. This fuel line looks pretty old. Pretty hard and starting to crack. Might want to replace that while we're at it. Okay, get this breather line out of the way as well. Take the spring off the governor, and then the governor rod. There we go. Now we got one more hose, but I'm just gonna pull that one out with it. It's on the back side. So there we go. Okay. Now let's get this carb pulled apart and see what we can find. So there's going to be two jets. There's going to be a jet down here, and there's going to be a tiny little pilot jet right there. So let's get this bottom off first. That's a 10 millimeter. Get that bowl off. You can see how dirty and brown that gasoline is. All right. You can see how dirty the end of the drain bolt is, how corroded that is. So we're going to have to clean that up. Looks like we're going to need a O-ring, most likely. Actually, it's not bad. Here's one of your jets deep down inside here. So we got to get a flathead to get that out. It's got to be a narrow flathead. Make sure that you're in the groove here, because you can strip this. Okay, so we got the jet out. Let's see if I can get the emulsion tube out too right away. There it goes. And I can tell right off the bat that thing is pretty, I can't even barely see through that. Pretty dirty. A little bit of hole through there, but even the side holes are all dirty. And this one definitely is clogged. Definitely clogged. Can't see anything through there. So I'll have to clean those. I want to get the pilot jet out right away. I take this little plastic screw off. And I'm just going to pop up this plastic. That's coming out a little tough. Oof. Pretty corroded. Pretty grimy in there. So there's a little tiny hole right through the end here. Usually most of my little files are not small enough to get in there. There's an O-ring on the end of this, but that thing looks a little beat up. Looks like it might have been pinched at some point, but I don't want to destroy that, so I'm not going to use a lot of carb cleaner on that, because if that swells, then we lose that seal. All right. Meantime, we're going to pull the rest of this apart. There's the needle. We got the pin and the needle there. The needle looks a little dirty, but not bad. And that looks clean in there. So let's give this a couple good sprays and make sure everything's clear and open and free, and get some of the dirt out of there. And then we'll clean up the jets. So some carb cleaner. And we'll use a little bit of air on this too right away. All right, I'm happy with that. I don't think there's anything else I really need to do with that. That's pretty clean. This gasket's in good shape. All right, let me get this gasket off. See if I have another. I think I have another one of those. Let me clean up the bowl in here. See how stuck this stuff is. That's not too bad. I find a Brillo pad works pretty good in cleaning this with a little bit of carb clean. There's a big debate on letting something run dry, if not in use, and then or leaving fuel in there. Like what do you guys think? Is it better for it to leave fuel in there to keep the gaskets nice and clear, or is it with a fuel stabilizer, or is it better to just completely run it dry? Let me know what you guys think. What do? Do you let everything out, or do you let it, or do you keep fuel in there, like a non-ethanol and a fuel stabilizer? All right, I'm getting pretty close. I'm going to let it soak for a little bit in some carb clean and brake cleaner, and just to get that last little bit out of there. And then in the meantime, I'm going to clean up the jets right away. I'm going to soak those until I get to them. But it's not going to soak the plastic one because of that O-ring. I'm just going to see if I can clean out the inside of there. On the jets and the emulsion tube, I'm going to use this torch tip cleaner. Just get those guys in and out, clean through those. I'll use some carb clean and compressed air, but we're just going to make sure all these are free. One more. And this down the center. Go with a bigger one. Now we see right through there. We'll be able to see through the ones on the sides here. Perfect. All right, that one's clean. Now we'll get the jet. Can't see through that one at all. Start with the torch tip cleaner. There it goes. Be careful with the torch tip cleaners. If you over go through this too many, if you go through this way too many times, you'll end up hollowing it out, which makes it run rich. You take too much metal off, the brass is going. You can see through that now. So those two are clear. Last one I got to do here is this guy, and I said this hole is so small. I don't have something that small usually. I tend to use a wire just to try to make sure it goes through. Okay, it goes through. All right, you can actually see the wire coming out the other side if you really get close. All right, let's make sure that's clear. I'll use a tiny bit of spray. Okay. And some air. Good. All right, now we know everything is clear. I just want to clean up a couple of these other little parts. Get some of this card off here. I want to make sure the tip of the needle isn't real corroded at all, and it looks all right. That's not going to cause any problems. Okay, so I don't need to do anything else. I just need to find another O-ring here and get the bowl. Grab a new one out of here and get the bowl cleaned up, and we'll start putting it back together. All right, that's soaked for a while. I just sprayed it out with air. Looks pretty good to me. People don't get too concerned about that tiny little bit of browns in the corners. That's not going to cause any problems. So let's put this pilot jet back in, and that, like I said, make sure that O-ring is there and that just pops straight down. So it's going to come straight in like that. It should screw in pretty easy if it's. We're going to stick it out maybe like 1/8 of an inch, right about there. Okay, so that stops the throttle from going all the way closed. Next, we're going to put on the bowl, the float. We'll put the float in next, and the pin to that. Okay, then we'll drop down the emulsion tube. The thin side goes down first, then the jet. It drops down there. Screw that down. Just want to hit the end of this drain bolt with the wire wheel quick. Okay, put that guy on. Oh, first we gotta put the new gasket in. Kind of goes down into this little crease. I'm going to angle this drain screw out towards the fuel line because it looks like it's easier to get to that way. And it will come in with the drain plug. Okay, I think we're good. Let's go ahead and reverse everything, put everything back together. I think I'm going to replace this fuel line while I'm at it. I'm going to do this real quick. I'm not going to film it because not everyone's going to want to know how to do that. I'm just going to take this cover off, get back there, pull the fuel line, cut a new fuel line, and then we'll catch you back up right after that. So if anyone is wondering, all you got to do is take this cover off in the end, loosen up that cover on the other end, and then there's 4 bolts holding this cover on, and then you can see the fuel line. It goes right over there. I'm just going to detach that, cut a new one, and run it right back through where it came from, and then we'll go ahead and put the carb back on. All right, just a quick update. I got the new fuel line in. This is the Honda equivalent fuel line. I can put a link in the description if you're looking for a Honda fuel line. Most of the mowers run this, the generators. So I'll do a link in there. So let me put this all back together, and then we'll put the carburetor on. All right, old fuel line, new fuel line. Let's put the carburetor back on. Let's see if we can get this thing to run. So this is going to go on this direction. Remember, I got to put this governor arm on right away. So that's got to go in, and that's got to turn like that. There we go. And then we need this spring to get in there. Hard to see this, but I'm getting the spring and the governor in the same hole. Oh, well, it went in one and it came out the other. Get that hole right there. There we go. Perfect. All right, a hose clamp on there. Put the fuel on. Okay, this vent hose attaches, and they both go through here, and that goes out the bottom there. Drain hose at the bottom, vent hose at the bottom, or overflow. Now this plate's got to come up. Vent hose. 2 8mm nuts. Good. Now I'm going to turn the fuel on. I'm going to put the choke on, and I'm going to see if I can start it, and then we'll put the air box on, and I'll order that air filter. Right, start it for a second. Give it a second. I might need to put a little bit of fresher fuel in there. That fuel smells pretty old. Sweet. That runs pretty good. Pretty bad oil, gas in there. You know, the guy said he added some, but there's probably some old stuff in there that's kind of going around. So that should smooth out. I'll check the oil level. I'm going to put some fresh gas in here and let it run for a little while. I'll double check that the power's working, although it's telling me it is. So I'm just going to put the air box back on. I'm going to order this air filter that is disgusting and falling apart, and give the customer a call. Get back to them. Got any questions, guys? Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you think about running the fuel dry, or if putting some stabilizer in it. Also check out these other videos and hit that like, subscribe button. Appreciate you guys for everything you guys helped me get to. And catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching.